My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we're talking about Rygar, which is a platformer developed and published by Tecmo for the NES in 1987.
And it's my celebrity couple name with Ryan Gosling.
Okay, yeah.
Together we are Rygar.
Rygar, yeah.
Yeah, Rygar. Ding, 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 ding. This is a Gary pick.
It is.
Yeah. An NES game I have a lot of affection for. Mm-hmm. Played a lot as a kid. That is, I think, is innovative and good. It's always my little stinker opinion that this is the best NES Tecmo game above Ninja Gaiden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a little stinker.
I don't know that I agree that it's better. I agree that it's better than Ninja Gaiden. I don't know that I like it more than Ninja Gaiden 2.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're very different games.
Yes.
In terms of things. And this is also a lot earlier.
Yes.
Than that. Like, this is a surprising kind of trailblazer on the NES.
Yeah. And like, I guess I didn't realize that because I've played this before. You know, just you got a guy with a shield that's on a chain. That sounds cool. Like, I played this before, but I didn't realize that we were like in like basically everything can be divided between 1987 and before 1987 and after. And like this kind of like has its feet more in the pre-1987 era of NES. So like a lot of what's here is like super primitive, but it is gesturing at stuff that we are still seeing like the effect of today.
Yeah. Yeah. Early innovator in a subgenre, and also a game that I like how it feels to move around in. Yeah. Which is one of the least transferable things in the world. But I like this jump. I like the action on this chain. I like these sound effects. Like the kinesthetics of this work for me in a big way. Yeah. We're firmly in the nostalgia zone.
Yes.
So I have no idea how to transfer any of that. This is me cheerleading a game I like more than anything. You know,
I think that I have a little bit of a cooler view on the kinesthetics, but I think we can talk about that as we go.
We will. It's time for another face-off. Watch out for fireballs. Two people enter. Yeah. Two people leave because we're fucking reasonable. Thunderdome rules are a little bit crazy. Like it's just Rygar.
A little bit crazy. Two people enter, one person leaves, but that's because of like a fire code violation.
Yeah. Over Rygar? What kind of insane Thunderdome is that?
Yeah. Well, when the forces of warm meet lukewarm.
Yeah. You get warmish.
You get baby's bathwater.
In this game, you play as the hero of Argus. You're set out to defeat the evil Rygar. Fucking love Rygar versus Lygar, who is a dominator who has taken over the land of Argul.
Yeah.
Argul.
I can't take Argul seriously.
There's nothing to take seriously. They're just words.
It's just words. It sounds
it's
really.
Just words.
It's not even words.
There's like an impression that you like putting on serious hat for a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
One of the things I like about this is that it does give the impression of a large and weird fantasy world.
Yes.
Without defining any of it. There are fewer things in kind of a Fazanadu way. Like there are fewer things to map onto stuff. If you contrast this with Metroid or Castlevania, right? Like Castlevania is spooky hammer horror stuff. Metroid is alien. Yeah. This doesn't map as cleanly onto things. It's vaguely a fantasy, but it's also an alien world Clearly, the creature designs are really strange in it. Like, this gestures towards a more mysterious and odd alien world and genre than other games that do similar things.
Yeah, and like, even though it is fantasy or like sword and sandal kind of thing, like it's kind of Greek-y, but it is not like Jason and the Argonauts kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit medieval fantasy, but it's like definitely not D&D, right?
Not even a little bit. And like these giant three-eyed, Buddha men.
Yeah.
Like what about a Triclops Karnov? Who you deal with and stuff. There's a strangeness to it that I think that hit me at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. As I said before, you have kind of a unique weapon in this, the disc armor, which is this kind of Captain America shield on the end of a chain. Though this is unique in concept, effectively this is no different from a lengthy sword.
Like pretty lengthy though.
Yeah.
For the time. Like this has range. You can increase its range. It's a little like it felt more like the whip. To me, it felt more like a Castlevania whip.
Yeah.
Except faster. Like it plays like a fast Castlevania whip.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you can shoot this in like a number of directions, although this gets a little bit mixed up when you get special like navigation items that also operate on attacking while pressing up or pressing the B button while pressing up or down.
It's a real early game, and the Nintendo being limited to having 2 buttons.
Yes, yeah, and that being an issue. And I guess in the kinesthetic zone here, this is like it's a platformer. And it's, kind of an open world kind of thing. The thing that bugs me about this, and this is more just my preferences or expectations for what a platformer is, this is not quite a like Castlevania, you are committed to the jump, god damn it kind of thing. But also, this is not the kind of platformer that Mario is, where you can control the height of your jump by how long you press the button. I got really fucked by like trying to do just like a little hop to get over one projectile but under another, and Rygar only has 1 speed as regards ups. Yeah,
he's got ups. He's read the Basketball Diaries.
Yeah,
in its entirety. It's a Metroidvania. Like the jump it's not a platformer. And it's not a, you're right. It's not a platformer. It's this weird kind of exploration game.
Yeah.
So the jump is useful to that degree. The jump itself, which has a little bit more vertical than horizontal, I like that it is also a tool in that you can stun enemies with it.
Yeah.
You do the Chun-Li stomp on enemies and it stuns them.
Yeah.
As a thing. So there's, between your disc armor, which will juggle enemies, every enemy in this game will get hit stunned.
Yeah.
As a thing. And your jump, which is both, a defensive move, it could be more granular. Like when they're shooting out projectiles, like the sets of 3, you can't jump between them.
No.
Like that's what it sounds like was fucking you, is trying to do that.
Yeah.
You have to jump over all of them.
You have to get
at
far,
the right height.
You have to either be far enough away that the height of your jump will get you in between, or be close enough that you can jump over them while they're still close together. And like the spread shot is kind of this game's move when it comes to like boss attacks.
Yeah. The boss variety in terms of verb is pretty bad.
Yes.
But yeah, generally it's just, I learned to get close. I have to jump over all these. Again, in a way that reminds me of Castlevania, the Dracula fireballs. Like you have to go over all of them. You can't really thread that needle with that jump. But in between the 2 things, being able to juggle and stun enemies and enemies spawning in on each side of the screen, that's the reason why I make a comparison to Ninja Gaiden with this.
Yeah.
Is that Ninja Edge spawning is the Ninja Gaiden defining thing.
Yeah.
To me, like feels real good in the hands, great music, like cool bosses, ahead of its time for story. It's all about edge spawning and knocking you into pits. This game feels like it's about edge spawning and you managing a crowd.
Yeah.
More than that. Like at the very least, I feel more equipped with these tools to handle unlimited things coming from off screen.
Yeah. And like it's also super weird. There's like a meta game because there's edge spawning, but you can also intentionally edge despawn something.
Yes.
If it's in your
Creator
way.
of edge despawn.
Yeah.
The destroyer of edge despawn.
Yeah.
It ends up being a thing. You can also do a bunch of NES tricks like, the game can only have a certain number of enemies on the screen.
Yeah.
You can get them to trail you. and do things like that.
Yeah.
Just stuff that comes with the platform.
Yeah. When we say this is like a Metroid kind of thing, like it's kind of more open than that even, because like Metroid, you're still going after, like, okay, I've got this particular biome I can go to. At a certain point, there's like 3 different dungeons you can go to, because you have collected the tools that are necessary to get to those parts of the map. And like the only thing that is steering is either which reward you want first, or like if you are kind of leveled up enough to deal with like a meat gate. Right.
Yes. Yeah. It's a hub structure.
Yeah.
Over this. As you move through this, as you go to these end of these bosses, you get tools that allow you to traverse different parts of the map. There's a tool that's just a power up as well, or a couple of tools that are power ups, but these are not weapons.
Right.
They're keys of a sort.
It's very funny that one of them is a crossbow, and it's like, don't aim this at anything that moves.
Yeah, it's you get a little safety lesson from the Garla, or from the giant 3-eyed god. This is not a toy.
No,
this is exclusively for shimmying across rivers.
Yeah, it's for line launching.
Yes, exclusively.
Yeah.
This is also when we say it's a Metroidvania, it is earlier than Metroid, in which you found everything through exploring. You level up in this. This is a RPG as well. As you defeat enemies, you gain 2 different stats, tone and last. Tone is the strength of your attacks. Last, at certain thresholds, you get more pips on your health bar.
Yes.
This is a game that got really fucked in Europe because there was a glitch that stopped you from being able to gain all these experience points. So you're basically capped at like half the health.
Oh my God.
Yeah, really, really hard stuff.
Yeah, and it's already very difficult, right? Like,
yeah. Look, I mean, kinda. I don't know, but again, I can't. Nostalgia Zone fucking sucks because it destroys you as a critic. It's the reason why everyone was doing YouTubes where they're just like, man, this is fucking awesome. Yeah. And there's no analysis going on. That was such a huge cottage industry because this game actually seems pretty breezy to me, but I have no idea how to separate that from the fact that I played it as a kid. Yeah. There's no doing.
No, I died a lot. Right? Like, and there are affordances for that. This is a point from later, but I might as well say it here. Like, you have unlimited continues. That, when you die, it's instantly a game over, but you will like respawn in the same area, like at the beginning of it.
Every area is a checkpoint.
Yeah. Which is nice and kind. Just short of having like a password system that lets you do this in multiple sittings, even though it is quite a short game, right? Yeah. But I just, like you get to a certain point and like it's not like I was avoiding enemies, but it's like, oh, I'm dying super quickly. And that's because it's kind of expecting me to grind, it feels like. And that's because you start running into things that are like, okay, now basic projectiles, the table stakes of this, the blind is now they do 2 pips instead of 1. And then eventually it gets to 3. And it's like, well, shit, like with my like 3/4 full health capacity, I can soak like 4 hits and there's no effective way for me to dodge this. So like to get through this, in a timely manner, like I kind of rode the Switch Online rewind feature.
It benefits a lot from being played on Switch. The rewind, which I didn't use that often, but do use we'll talk about the interface stuff with the grappling hook thing or attaching to the lines. But using the being able to put it down is huge. Not having a password feature sucks. This game is a lot better on Switch Online. Rewinding for experimentation, really good. And just putting it, grinding a little bit before bed. Like you do have to grind in this game.
So Gary, you've been replaced with a fucking scroll is what's happened.
I haven't been replaced by a scroll. It's grinding. The whole game is like an hour and a half. The amount of time, like it's grinding is very different when the whole game is like an hour and a half.
No, I really, wow. I was not aware that it was a matter of degrees for you.
And it's faster. It's like super fast. Like you just post up in a spot, you duck. You hammer the button for a little bit before bed and gain a couple levels. It's like really no big deal. Like you're not going through, and I think that part of the reason why grinding in this doesn't feel like shit to me is in a role-playing game, there are scene transitions and stuff. There's a lot of kind of fluff between you and the actual fight. Yeah. Here I'm just kind of doing some tappa, and sincerely for 5 minutes at a couple of different points of the game, did it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't super exciting, but the game's like an hour and a half. The whole thing went really smooth for Gary's.
Yeah. And like I said, I got, like 3/4 of the health capacity filled up. I was doing just fine until like until the end game bosses. I'm not trying to say like, aha, I have exposed to hypocrisy or inconsistency, therefore I win, kind of thing.
It does invalidate a person. If you ever catch somebody saying something that goes against what they said before, they're fucking finished.
I found myself uninterested in doing even the minimal amount of grinding in this.
Yeah. The degrees matter a lot for me in that kind of thing. Like the amount of time I'm spending on something. I don't think that this would work as a 6-hour game.
Oh God, no.
No. For that reason, right? Like that wouldn't work. But having to stop every once in a while, like, oh, this is a nice spot. I'm going to gain a couple levels.
Yeah. Here. Also, like the spawns are really inconsistent too. So like the act of, doing the grinding was like, well, I'm just going to like run back and forth here. And then stuff would just kind of like Mylon Secret Castle spawn on me and damage me. And then it's like, well, shit, I need to hope that I need either rewind or I need to hope that enough of these drop magic that I can recover that health.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, again, who knows? Kid knowledge, right? Like, I would just find spots where I would have my back protected and I could kind of walk up a little bit, spawn a guy, hit him, walk back.
Yeah.
You eventually it became a language I could read the edge spawning and the enemy spawning.
Whenever I thought that I found a safe place to do that, like things came from every direction.
You just have to have your back to a wall.
Yeah.
Like things won't come out of a wall.
Stuff came from above.
Sometimes. Depends on where you're at. If you're in an overhead area, they can't.
Yeah.
If you have your back to a wall.
Yeah. I guess
you got to find the spots.
I'm telling you what my experience was.
No, I know. I'm just saying there is a way around. I'm not invalidating your experience. I'm saying that there is a way around that. I don't fault you for not finding it, but it does exist.
Yeah.
In terms of what's possible. The in addition to those experience points, your tone and your last, enemies will drop pickups. Sometimes these are miters. Everyone drops a miter. You can get a half pope or a full pope. And these give you magic points that can be used to cast spells. You have 3 spells. You start the game with them. One of them lengthens your disc armor chain. That lasts until you die.
Yes.
So very useful. You want to have that up. The other one makes it so your next 10 attacks hit everything on the screen.
Super powerful.
The way you get out of some of these bosses.
Yeah.
That is an admission. That is a way around a game design flaw, I feel like. In a game with a better defensive vocabulary, you wouldn't need to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But they allow for it. It's fine. And then the most expensive one restores all your health. That is it costs all 7 pips.
Yes.
Of your health.
Leaving Gladys Knight all alone.
Yes, as always, the Widow Knight. Who will console the Widow Knight? The Widow Knight is a good. There we go. There's a Dark Souls boss.
Yeah, but yeah, you get those spells. They're a big help. I found myself wishing that I had more, more MP at your disposal. Also, given the way that this works, like when you fight a boss, there are not feeder enemies that, so like you go in and you have the MP you have when you go in. So you have like one heal, or not even like you have one heal or one.
Yeah, you have to choose.
Yeah.
Like it's a game where it's kind of, if you're healing, you're losing a little bit.
Yeah.
You want to be aggressive if you can with things.
Yeah.
The spell numbers are intentional in terms of not letting you. It's not Zelda 2, like in terms of magic.
Yeah.
You're choosing offense or defense, basically.
This game kind of does a Blaster Master.
Yeah. Yeah, there are 2 modes of play. Most levels are side-scrolling, but every once in a while you get a top-down one. The enemy palettes are different and kind of the mode of exploration is different, but your abilities don't really change. You can still jump, you still shoot in all the directions. You can jump in all 8 directions when it's overhead. In overhead, jumping is better defensively than it is side-scrolling here, and that tends to be areas that connect. So a side-scrolling area tends to be like a dungeon that you go to the end of and come back. The hub areas oftentimes, or hubbish areas, are overhead with different doors that lead to different areas.
Something that's worth mentioning with the difficulty and also the continue system is that if you die, you do restart back at the beginning of the level, but you don't lose your experience, which I think is very kind.
Yeah, you're meant to. They knew that you have to beat this in one sitting. There's no password or save battery, so they didn't want, dying is not anything really.
Yeah.
In this, it can be annoying on a boss, but each boss is also considered a separate area. If you die on a boss, you start the boss over.
Yeah.
And if you need to go back and grind or something, if you're not powerful enough for it, that sucks.
Yeah.
You want to use your save states or what have you. But in terms of actually like consequence, like you don't lose anything. No.
I can't think of other gameplay points for this. Like those are the basics. This is, a kind of early-ish NES game. So it is, like there are not an awful lot of very intricate systems playing off of each other. It is just the overall design and the way the world kind of fits together that makes it feel like way more modern than it ought to.
Yeah, it's exploring.
Yeah.
Stuff, and it's breaking into new biomes. The kind of like, I've got a new music track, color palette, and enemy palette. This feels neat. I must be making progress because I haven't seen this monster before.
Yeah.
In terms of stuff like that, it's pretty ahead of its time. For when this came out. Again, not the first, but an early version of it.
Yeah.
I like this game a lot visually. There's two things I think are good. One is the color palettes. The first level of this is very iconic. A lot of things take place at dusk in this in a weird way that is like really bold looking to me. Like a lot of levels are at sunset or sunrise.
Yeah.
And it's fairly simple. We're just in a kind of like a dune looking planet, mountains in the background, floating islands, but with big bold colors you don't see a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's not dark and moody. It's bright and kind of like melancholy a little bit. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then the monster designs are great.
Love this.
We got some fucked up freaks. Did you see the manual page where it says the manual page is like a cadre of creeping crawlings or something like that? Let me find the exact text. It's incredible.
Okay.
You talk for a little bit while I find this.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't look at the manual, and I ought to have, because that is a main appeal of the of playing something on the NES.
Are you fucking ready for this?
I am so ready,
this text?
Gary.
Animalized Men Wriggling Eerily. Right?
Oh man. Yeah.
Yep.
Animalized Men Wriggling
Eerily. Doesn't that sound like somebody made that's a word scramble?
Oh yeah.
That's some Jeremy's Iron shit.
Animalized Men is amazing to me. Yeah. No, these little line art drawings of the monsters are really good, and also like not that much more detailed than they are in the game.
No.
Yeah. And also like when we say variety, it's like, okay, you end up with some stuff that feels kind of standard, like enemy turtle, kind of thing, but also like robots show up, and one of the guys is a dino tank.
There's like a little creeping little guy named a Gelman who crawls around. That's like a little, it looks a little bit like the priest from the Dark Souls 3 DLC.
Yeah.
And in the Japanese version, they're called Germans. That's great. And then the bird dragon things are incredible.
Yeah. The weird segmented look where they drop eggs. Yeah.
Yeah, it like looks like between a monster, but there's like a little bit of missing no DNA.
Yeah.
In it. Like it's kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on, but it's enough to be freaked out.
It's like weirdly tiled.
Yeah. Love the monster design in this, and the bosses.
Yeah.
The bosses are not great shakes mechanically, like whatsoever, but there are cool designs. During the boss rush level, I love those slug things as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Music kind of variable. Honestly, there's some fun melodies here, including one of which is just the Superman theme song. Yeah. But like those are kind of offset by some tracks that are very repetitive. There's one that is just 4 notes repeated, which drove me up the fucking wall because that's kind of a long dungeon.
That dungeon music is a mistake. I generally like the soundtrack of this, but it's better. I wish there was more variety. In terms of each individual song needs more parts. Yeah.
I listened to the arcade soundtrack when I was making the notes. That is much better. That is, an unfair standard to hold the NES to on that.
Yeah.
It just, for some reason they decided to even just like not try to recreate those melodies really.
Yeah. I think the melodies here are pretty good. I just wish they were looped longer, generally.
Yeah.
The story in this is there's not very much of one, and it's real mysterious. It's old men telling you lines, and they tell you a noun, and if somebody put a gun to your head and said, "Is that a person or place?" you couldn't answer.
Nope.
Is that a monster or is that an item? No fucking clue.
Yeah.
And it leads to a lot of early NES mystery feeling.
Yeah.
And it being very funny to walk into a room, have a Triclops Karnov, just say something about Garlaws and Gabul, and you have no idea what the fuck it is.
Yeah. And like, this is not like just a laughing at, haha, this is a bad translation. Didn't they talk wacky or whatever? Like, it genuinely does create this sense of, I don't know, like unease or uncertainty around stuff. Also, these old men fucking lie.
Yeah, they do. We're in Castlevania 2 territory a little bit. These old men are just, I hate these old men. I love, again, just in a detail that makes this world feel weird. The old men, there are two different types.
Yeah.
The difference is whether they have a third eye, neither of which are the same species as Rygar.
No.
Rygar is the last of his kind. These guys are big squatting daddies.
Yeah.
There's nothing human looking about this.
Yeah. I think that's just what happens when you achieve enlightenment in this world. You get you grow 5 times.
Well, some of them don't have enlightenment though. Those are just the 3-eyed ones.
Oh, they're on their way.
The other ones are just guys.
Yeah.
I guess you get bigger and then you grow the third eye. Like that's the thing. And maybe hopefully Rygar gets big at the end of this.
It looks real painful.
Yeah, your bones snap. There's wet cracking.
Yeah. I tried looking up some development history on this. There is a book that somebody put together called The Complete History of Rygar by Brian Rigsby, has a foreword by Kurt Kalata. That mostly concerns itself with port differences and has a lot of like advertisement and just kind of like art stuff in it, along with like an interview with somebody who did like a port, and then some like people who are talking about like ROM hacking the game, which is neat.
Yeah.
But not much in the way of like why decisions were made.
Yeah, we don't know. It's a dark age for that kind of thing. This is in the big pile of games that are technically arcade ports, but the NES version is very different.
It's called the Bionic Commando Club.
The Bionic Commando, the Strider Club, the Ninja Gaiden Club. It's a huge club.
Yes.
This was a thing that set Nintendo apart, specifically from Sega games at the time. Sega and, on the Master System even, but specifically on the Genesis, oftentimes would be a place to get one-to-one arcade conversions.
Yes.
So, Genesis, big deal. You'd get Altered Beast in the arcade. If you wanted to play Altered Beast, you play it on Genesis.
Yes.
Same thing. The NES, I think wisely, didn't try to do that. And we ended up with these games that ended up pushing new genres because they were trying to adapt the basic idea of something into something that felt more at home on a home system that you wouldn't be playing in an arcade. The arcade version of Rygar, kind of a slog. It's looks good, sounds good. It's just a linear. It's a Rastin.
Yeah.
It's in the Rastin hole. There was none of this exploration and kind of nonlinearity.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the NES one better. I don't know if that is a controversial opinion for anything other than aesthetics, but
it's a thing where it's always, people forget that the Ninja Gaiden arcade game is so different.
Yes.
From the NES version. Like that's also it's like a beat 'em up. It's really nothing like it. Feels like Bad Dudes or something. It doesn't feel anything like Ninja Gaiden on the NES.
Yeah. So what's interesting about the arcade one is after a certain point, you couldn't buy more continues.
Yes.
And it's like,
so funny.
We don't want people to like spend money on this thing that we're
your
leasing
money's no good here.
Yeah.
You have to prove your Rygar-acity. Like, if you're not going to take this seriously, you can go home. I've never seen a video game that stops you from paying money to play it.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
The arcade version of this was directed by Hideo Yoshizawa, who did the Ninja Gaiden NES games and Klonoa.
Yeah. Very different games. I always forget that
different.
Klonoa has that lineage because of how kind of soft everything looks.
Yeah. And is like the other games are challenge games and Klonoa's not really. And to clarify earlier, like I like Ninja Gaiden on the NES. I like this better, but I like Ninja Gaiden. It's just fine. I understand the edge spawning being a thing you can get around with certain ninja magics. I don't need pro tips. I like both those Tecmo games.
So we do not know really if Hideo Yoshizawa had any involvement in the NES port. And with all those departures, the arcade version is the basis for a lot of the other ports. I think all of them. And those ports are of wildly varying quality. You can find like comparison videos, for all like the microcomputers and the Amstrad and all that.
Apparently the Master System is the one to play. If you want a arcade version of this. Rygar lay dormant like a cicada until 2002. And then Rygar the Legendary Adventures was released on the PS2 by Tecmo. This is something that up until I was looking into stuff for this episode, I absolutely wrote off as a God of War clone.
Nope.
No, it's a pre-God of War. It plays very similar to 2005's God of War, but it came out 3 years earlier. In terms of that, a weapon with a lot of AoE and crowd control. A chain being fighting a lot of guys building up combos and stuff 3 years beforehand, which is kind of neat. I've never played it.
It's fine. It's not great, but like, it's a PlayStation 2 kind of early-ish PlayStation 2 action game. Like it just, what you're going to get with that, I think.
Similar to, it reminds me, it's like in the Maximo bucket of like old challenge games kind of remade. For a thing. And it's also similar, the idea of the PS2 version kind of presaging God of War reminds me of this NES version having a lot of early executions on RPG Metroidvania. And then kind of being forgotten. Like getting there first doesn't do anything in the fullness of history. It doesn't matter.
In the things nobody asked for column, they took this PS2 game and remastered it for the Wii in 2008, adding motion controls.
Hell yeah.
Baby.
You can wield the disc armor.
You can become Rygar.
I built a disc armor and I cut off my arm.
Oh, fun.
It doesn't work. You throw a shield and it may come back. And the thing that you don't know about that is it comes back. It's still sharp when it comes back.
I think that's the third law.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Rip your arm.
It's okay. I got another one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's okay. I harvested it with the disc armor, actually. Lemonade from Lemons. But yeah, if you want to pretend like you're throwing a disc armor, you can play that Wii port.
Yes.
I also, the other thing I want to say about that sequel is I watched footage of it. I haven't played it. It really de-unifies the world a bit through added detail. The sword and sandal aspect of this is present in the NES version a bit, but it feels canted and weird. In the PS2 version, it feels very specifically of that genre.
Yes.
It kind of becomes a genre game as opposed to something that is doesn't fit quite neatly.
It feels real, like post Gladiator, I think is what they're kind of going for. Yeah, and it does feel like not unique. I mean, like right down to like it specifically takes place on Earth. It's like fantasy Earth, but like the Romans have taken over Egypt or something like that.
Yeah, some bullshit.
Yeah,
as opposed to the Rolsas taking over the Garlazes, which is what I'm here for. Let's get into it. This will be a breezy episode. It is a breezy game. Again, in terms of length and stuff. We start off very iconic opening area here at this beautiful sunset with our first two basic enemies, the turtles, who are called Pragocheles, and these rolling centipede things called Rolfers. These are the animals wriggling eerily. Basically the way they spawn is like NES action games where they'll spawn at the edge, but some of them can kind of just appear. The centipedes will appear on the sky, fall down and roll towards you.
Yes.
Thing. So you're kind of, as you're moving forward, you're kind of juggling both sides of your defensive zone.
Yes, and you will be surrounded. Is kind of the thing about this. The effect of enemies just kind of popping in does kind of feel like it's edge spawning, but effectively the edge of the screen is like a third of the way in.
They do just pop in.
Yeah,
I didn't. So again, just different experiences. Talking about things that are possible in it. So this didn't bug me because enemies never felt, one, it doesn't happen often when you're jumping, which is the thing I associate with a Ninja Gaiden or Mega Man edge spawning being bad, is causing me to fall into pits. If I wasn't, you're rushing too much, I could usually stop and react to this just fine. And that kind of became the mode I was in.
Yeah.
Vigilant.
Yeah, I wasn't bringing that up in order to like rag on the game. That just feels like an NES thing to me. And also like a thing with emulation is like you're seeing all of the overscan, stuff that is being rendered, but like there's no reason to go to add something into our into our sprite limit if it's going to be cut off by the edge of the TV. So like that is an effect that you'll see in a lot of games that NES games specifically that you play in an emulator, is that stuff feels like it's popping in out of nowhere when they were accounting for the fact that, just accounting for the way that CRTs worked, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And you're fairly zoomed out. So something popping in the middle of the screen, it's not on top of you.
Yes.
It's next to you, but not on top of you. You find your first door that you pop in, and there's a hermit. You can tell the hermit's away from the gods, as the hermits don't have a third eye. He says, in the Grand Mountain lies the entrance to Garlaws.
Yeah.
You can pick up through context clues that Garlaws is a place.
Yes.
From that. But I don't know where Grand Mountain and Garlaws is. There's a map in the manual.
Yes.
That actually is like semi-useful for this kind of thing. But if you're playing this in 2025, you probably don't have that open.
No. So you're going to go looking for a mountain. And also like at a certain point they start, I think it's before you get to the top down sections, you get directions in north, south, east, and west. And it's like, what in the world am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah. There is no north, south, and east and west. There is once you get into the overhead areas that kind of connect. Yeah. I think that this is made for you to have the manual. The Animalistic Men Wriggling Eerily.
So we go to the Grand Mountains. And we find a new enemy here, these lizard men, the Pholaracos. And they will kind of like run along on higher levels and kind of drop down like Contra enemies.
Yeah. Just another thing to keep on top of as you go through this. And this is a little bit of a hub itself.
Yes.
We're going to come back here. We get ropes between levels. One thing I like is you can use your disc armor from the rope.
Yep.
So you're not helpless during that. If you head upwards, we get a hermit that says we need the crossbow to continue.
Yeah.
So we need to find a hermit near the entrance of Garlaws who says you should go west and then north when you enter that region.
Yeah.
Again, that doesn't make sense where you're at, but once you go to the right door and get to Garlaws, that is what you want to do.
Yeah. And Garlaws is the main hub that you get here. This is top down. You have two kind of new enemies, the Hyoking, which are these large, conical, spiky lizards who will
stampeding armadillos.
Yeah, who kind of like charge north and south.
Yeah. And then an enemy that I feel like Nintendo games just kind of shared.
Yeah,
is this an evil tree with an angry face that shoots fireballs? I feel like this is in tons of video games. So like this specifically feels like it's like kind of an angry tree, but also there's like some Mandragora stuff going on with it too. Yes. Yeah. But if you ran into this guy in Dragon Quest, you wouldn't feel surprised.
Oh no, not at all.
Like this is just a Nintendo guy. We all had this guy. This is the squat tree that shot fireballs. But you follow the directions. You go west at the first opportunity, you go north, and this is how you can make your way up. Checking out these different huts until you find one that gives you the grappling hook.
Right.
And this hermit has an eye on his forehead because he is one of the gods.
Yeah, one of the Endora gods.
Endora, that's the word I was looking for. The noun soup of this. I like this game, but I'm not a lore expert on it. It is hard for me to remember Uruga versus Rolsa.
Yeah. So grappling hook. Everything falls short of the Bionic Commando standard. This is to specifically move up. If there is a platform above you, or also if there's another screen above you, you can fire upwards and then create a rope but you will climb up. So you're going to do a lot of like just shooting at the sky to see if you hook onto anything.
There's one specific bit of dirty pool where you have to do that. And if I didn't remember from when I was young, who knows, right?
Yeah.
You can also go down with this, and that ends up running into an issue with the number of buttons. Pressing down and B will fire a grappling hook if you can go down to it, as opposed to attacking, which you might want to duck and attack. This would have been a great time for an extra button.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you go to the southeast here, there's another door, and this will bring you into the Valley of Rolsa here. And this area doesn't look like a valley. It looks like a bunch of boulders and a river. This is a really Castlevania-esque looking zone here. We don't get the mermen, but you could.
Yeah. And this is where the platforming, like this is where they start introducing, instant death drops. The timing on falling into a pit and then just the black screen that says game over is very funny to me for some reason. Yeah.
Well, it's huge comedy once we get the hook line thing. Because when that doesn't work, you can fall into pits in this for sure as a thing. It's a little less, I think, of a pit game than some other NES games.
Yes.
Like, yes, it is a thing, but the platforming isn't really the challenge. And they don't position enemies specifically to knock you out of the sky into pits. That's rare. When that happens, if you're playing on Switch Online, just rewind.
Yeah.
No court would convict you.
No.
There are new enemies here. These kind of flying lizard men. They look like flying squirrels, but of lizards and the size of men. Who come down diagonally until they reach your axis and then approach horizontally from either direction.
What I love about these guys is they don't flap their wings. It just kind of looks like they're TT posing at you.
They're hovering. And then there's also a bat demon guy called Mogolans. And these guys are super easy. They seem docile. They don't really seem aggressive at all. They don't seem to want to hurt you.
They're kind of just there to be hazards more than anything. Also, I think they're very cute, like with their little chest tuft.
They're very cute.
Yeah.
One of the things that is a low-key thing that'll work on me that is a game design trick is that by making something an RPG, I want to engage with a level more because I know I'm getting something from killing these things. Ordinarily, a place where my interest will dip in a video game is when I start trying to just move through an area without fighting the monsters, and that happens in games I love as well. Eventually in Dark Souls, I just want to run past everything. One of the things I like about Rygar is an early example of something as opposed to like a Metroid. There was a reason to fight these guys. I'm getting tone and last points at the very least from fighting them.
Yeah. God, tone and last. That's just so...
Tone, last. It doesn't mean anything. They're just 4-letter words.
Yeah. Like, it's like muscle tone. So like, I can hit harder, and if it is last, like kind of endurance.
You last longer.
Yeah. That's how I kind of internalized like what did what. But also that didn't really matter because it didn't show what the thresholds were for upgrades.
No, you just want them.
Yeah.
And then you just notice you're getting better. There's not, it's not a detailed stat screen.
Yeah.
Like even remote. And then when you look at the spells, attack and assail, like, what does that mean? There's nothing to imply that gives you a smart bomb, basically.
No.
Like 10 uses of a smart bomb for your whip.
Also with how economized all of the characters are to just have a spell just be 2 synonyms.
Yes. Yeah. Like, which one do I do? When you get to the end of this, there's some towers that have a hermit that tells you that there's a flying tower above us. That's how we're going to get to the end. Yeah. Not useful now. We go to the far right and we get to the exit to Iruga's forest.
Yeah. And we're like heading down a spoke here. This feels, I don't know, Dark Souls-y to me. you know, just like
weird for an NES game.
It is a series of like little levels that kind of form one big level that will end with a boss.
Yeah, and then it has the kindness to teleport you back.
I know, right?
Yeah, like again, weirdly ahead of its time. This is a forest that's growing out of the sea. We have enemies, no new enemies here for a while until we run into these scorpion guys.
Yeah,
called Kinatarnos. These guys will sit and just shoot spikes at you.
Yeah,
in close in bunches. You can jump over these and kill them. You can also edge despawn, creator of despawn them, if you'd like.
Yeah. I found these impossible to deal with if I didn't have the extend spell up.
Yeah, you want that extend spell up.
Yes.
So to reach the boss, you have to use the grappling hook to rise to an upper level and cross this large gap. Here, this is the area where they say, you need the grappling hook to continue. And we get to the boss of this. You want to have a couple levels under your belt. And again, you're not going to know if you have levels. You just kind of feel it out.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm strong enough. Like that is it should convey that information.
Yeah.
This guy, Aruga, who owns the forest, who is a lion turtle. Makes sense. And he moves really slowly and fires a spread shot, 3 bullets. And this is the thing where you have to, there's a little platform on only one side. Yeah. So if you need to jump over all 3 of them after they've gotten wide enough, you can jump on that platform and do it. But the trick, the way you get through this guy is realizing you have to be close to him.
Yes.
You get his rhythm, how many times you can hit him, and then when you have to jump over all 3.
And then also like knowing when you have to reset him too.
Yes.
Because like he'll continue marching slowly to the left. That platform is only on one side. If you want to continue having the advantage, like, oh, I need to get on the right of him and lure him back. It is an interesting fight in that way. I was not leveled up enough, so it took me a million hits to kill him.
The bosses in this are either way too tanky or they go down way too quick when you are leveled up. Like it really kind of depends on how much you fought guys as a thing. And the game is not communicating that you need to do that other than just you having an inkling like, oh, this is taking too long.
Yes.
I needed to level up more. But again, I was born with that knowledge, it feels like.
Yeah. And this is hardly the first NES game to not communicate things to the player.
Oh, yeah. This is just comes with the platform in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
When he dies, a door to another god of war appears. We walk in, one of the Endura, and he gives us the wind pulley. Or wind pulley, which lets us cross rope lines.
Yeah.
There are rope lines that we've seen in Garlaws. And we can go back and do this. This is worth noting. This is tricky.
Yeah.
The manual calls it tricky. This is a problem, right? Like if you weren't playing this on Switch Online where you could just rewind when you flubbed it, it'd be irritating. You need a button to attach, but there is no button. So you have to kind of approach from the bottom of one of these, and it's an audio cue.
Oh, I didn't notice an audio cue.
Yeah, it's when you're on, there's an audio cue.
Okay.
So I was playing this in bed, with Liv, and I don't have my Bluetooth hooked up to my Switch for no real good reason. I haven't done it yet. So I would play this on mute a lot of the time, and this was driving me crazy until I looked it up. I was like, "What's the fucking trick?"
Yeah,
it's approach from the bottom, like slowly, and then you'll make a click, and that means you're on. And you can cross the rope.
Yeah, so you can only fire these lines from particular points. There are these like log kind of things.
Well, we can't fire them yet. This is
I guess you're right.
This is the thing that lets us jump onto existing lines.
But but either way, the way that I figured this out was you have to press the button or you have to move onto the line with your character's like torso over it. Like you can't approach from the bottom, and you also can't approach from too far down. So like if the beginning of the line is like kind of between the neck and the upper chest, then you're good.
Yeah. It makes a click, but the game doesn't tell you that. Like I was like, I couldn't remember how I did this, and then looked it up.
Yeah.
So going back to Garlaws and riding the ropes will bring you to Mount Primeval. I fucking love them just doing a regular word.
Yeah.
Like everything is fucking Aruga and Lapis and then Primeval. I don't know. Fuck it.
It's the taiga jungle. Okay, man.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome to Veltland.
I found this to be kind of a nightmare. Way too many of the flying segmented dragon guys.
Yeah, these guys, which we talked about early on, who drop eggs on you, are hard, and their footprint is big.
Yes.
They're big enemies, so getting a lot of them is a problem. Kind of the challenge, like the approach that I ended up using to get through this, like I also think there's a step up in difficulty, is balancing moving forward with keeping these guys under control.
Yeah.
The eggs weren't that big of a problem other than just that they were taking up space on the screen to turning more of the screen into hurt box.
Yeah. The thing that was specifically getting under my skin with this was the fact that though you can fire your weapon, though you can use the disc armor while you're on a vertical rope, when you are crossing, when you're using the wind pulley to go on the kind of horizontal or diagonal ones, you can't attack out of that.
Yeah.
And I would just end up in this place where like they would keep spawning in, and there was no window for me to continue forward. And if I went back, by the time I killed, any that were coming in, they would spawn in the next time I tried to make it there, make it across the rope. Yeah.
You just have to push forward to safety, and then sometimes you have to chill and get some health back. We didn't talk about this, but they'll drop potions from time to time as well.
Potions that recover 1 pip. Yeah.
Yep. Just 1 pip. So, or you use your recover spell if you have the magic points for it.
Yes.
At this point. When you get to the end, we get to a cave. And this cave looks exactly like a colonoscopy. This is exactly what this looks like, is that King of the Hill, where you explore Mount Primeval. The doctor explored Hank's Mount Primeval. It is a big maze here. This is a large network of tunnels. We get some new enemies here, these isopod creatures, and then these rolling nautilus shells. They behave very similar to other enemies we have. They just look different.
And that I think matters, like, though effectively you get a lot of reskins. I don't know, the visual variety does help differentiate, like, oh, this is a different biome, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's useful. Different music, new music when you get here and everything.
Yeah.
And kind of counterintuitively, you leave the cave and go back outside and then go back in.
Yeah.
Out of the cave. There are multiple entrances to this. That's kind of neat. That makes us feel like a big place that's winding in and out of the mountains.
Yes. Yeah. These end with a boss fight against Sagila, which is a spider monster that circles the screen. It has a web in the center, but what it mostly does is move along the floor, walls, and ceilings very quickly, and it will reverse direction when you attack it. Yep. And you kind of need to just kind of keep it juggling so that it doesn't get above you and then drop on you.
Yes. You have to keep hitting it. Weirdly enough, this boss can't hurt you if you're ducking.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, you can just duck. It seems like a mistake. It's also not that inspired because most of these monsters look like creeps, and this is a spider.
Yeah.
What if a spider, roughly the size of a man? I'm not saying I could just tank that in real life, but you duck and keep hitting them and juggle them back and forth. After you beat him, you get the crossbow. Yeah. Not a weapon. Nope. This allows you to shoot ropes.
Hell yeah, brother.
It's a crossbow that allows you to shoot ropes. This allows you to make your own wind pulley things when you find logs.
Yeah. And we've seen those. They are all over Garlaws. And there are just other places we can get to now. More of the map is opened because that's the kind of game that this is. The next place, so this is where it actually opens up. Once you get this, you have all of the movement abilities.
The last two boss abilities we're going to get are just power-ups.
Yes. Yeah. And then the final thing you get is the key to the front door of the final boss. So you can do any of the next three things in any order. Specifically the next two. The Tower of Garba, I think, is like really difficult. You want to be leveled up for it.
Yeah, it's kind of a boss rush. It's a penultimate zone.
Yeah.
Going to Lapis first, if you go to Garlaws and you go east, you can use your new tool to get up on these floating ruins, these floating continent in the sky kind of things. And to make your way through here, you have to use both your grappling hook and your crossbow to cross bits of floating ground. The crossbow, as we mentioned, there's some dirty pool in this, where you have to use the crossbow up, but you cannot see the platform that is above you to go to.
Yeah. Also, you have to use the crossbow down to go one screen down because you can't see what's down there. Like sometimes you will descend, and if you can't, the rope only goes a certain length. If you can't reach the floor, if you don't touch, you have to climb back up and then go find another place to descend.
Yeah. Kind of a bummer. And if you do that and you die, because you come off that, just rewind.
Yeah.
This is a big grinding spot. We get an enemy here, the heavy soldier Bargon, who's a robot. Who knows? Who cares?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. But you can find him right next to a door. And this is where I did most of my grinding, going in and out of this door, fighting super soldier Bargon or heavy soldier Bargon. You'll level up really fast against Bargon.
I love how lanky these fuckers are.
Yeah. They're great looking. They look like a toy to me. They look like a giant toy. Yeah. And just weird. Like, they're robots now, and it's the only one. Well, we're not going to end up in a tech corridor later.
We do get a dino tank.
We do get a dino. Yeah. I forgot about dino tank. I was thinking more dino than tank. Yeah. But there aren't a whole lot of robots in this world. Yes. Just some. Yeah. But yeah, park here and fight Bargon a while. So you have to find the right places to ascend and descend to get there. When you eventually find them, you get to the end boss, Belzar. Richard Belzar is a two-headed flesh pillar. Looks a little bit like one of the old ones.
Kinda, yeah.
Or almost like or the
elder
Yithians.
things. Yeah.
Not an elder thing, not the barrel-shaped guys, but the Yithians.
Okay.
The Shadow of Time guys a little bit.
Yeah. It's like a flesh pillar and has these kind of like segmented, kind of like dragon head looking things that will wackily wave around and then just fire tracking shots at you.
Yes. So he's in the middle of the arena. You have to climb up to him to hit him. And he does little pauses in between.
Yeah.
These things. He shoots 4 or 5 of these tracking shots, which you dodge and you grapple up on the platform and hit him. You can jump over them if you know when they're coming.
Yeah.
They come out on a regular basis, which has basically been true of the bosses so far.
Yeah.
You get to jump for them.
But yeah, it's kind of a press your luck thing. You get up there, you want to attack during the pause. Grappling up takes time. So you want to, basically know the timing, how wide open your window is before you want to, in my case, get a little bit of distance so you can more easily dodge the attacks.
Yeah. If you come into this with magic and a decent health pool, so you do not feel like you need to use recover, attack and assail will help a lot with this as well. You'll get a lot of free damage.
Yeah.
One of the tricks with that is that enemies, when you're using that, enemies do have a invincibility period. Like, you don't want to hammer that as fast as you hammer the disc armor.
Yes.
You kind of do it slowly at a rhythm because it'll make different noises, whether the enemy is hurt or not.
Yeah.
When you beat him, we talk to an Anura who gives us the coat of arms. This robot mystery sand and sandal world also has knights. We get our coat of arms. This will allow us, when we go to hermits, they'll give us a life potion. Which is a single-use consumable. You can refill it as many times as you want, but you can only have one at a time.
Yeah, that I got burned by that.
It gives you a task.
Yeah,
which I don't love. Like, you have to, if you use it, you go back and find another one. They space these out okay.
Yeah.
And in the final dungeon, there's a guy who'll give you a life potion, which I think is unusually graceful.
Yes.
For the NES, but I do wish that I didn't think you should be able to stock up on these. I understand what they're doing by making healing in this game. What they're trying to communicate, I think, is that it's not supposed to be your go-to. That they want you to be more aggressive than that. You could argue about how successful that is, but I think that's what they're trying to do. This is another aspect of that.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be able to stock up on a bunch of life potions. I just think that you should be able to. They should have spaced out the hermits that give them to you a little bit better.
Yeah. As only specific ones, and it's generally fine, So
now we can go to Drago's palace. This is north of the island that Mount Primeval is on. We saw a law or a stump there, and now we have all the tools, we can get to it.
Yeah, and this is where we get our first palette swap. This is a top-down dungeon with more difficult red versions of the spike lizards, and then the very fun four-armed crawling wrestler guys.
Germans.
Yeah.
The Germans, as they're called in the Japanese version, or Gelmans. Either Brett Gelman or Brett German.
Huh.
Yeah. These guys are really good for leveling up. They give you a lot of points.
Yeah.
So if you can find a spot where these guys spawn, that is a good place to camp.
Yeah. And like the top down, the top down stuff ends up being so much easier because you do have more all control over your jump, even in midair.
Yes. Yeah. You basically can, it's basically a dodge. at that point. Yeah, but this is, you got in the notes here, the music here fucking sucks. Like, I don't know why they did that. But see, that made it sound like it was the Meow Mix.
Yeah. No, it basically is. It is,
but without the chorus, without the gigantic climax, the get your fist pump climax of the Meow Mix song. Without the drop.
Yeah. It is just 4 descending notes, 1 step each.
It sucks that it is, this is such a good grinding spot for that. Like, I mute it and put on a podcast when I was fighting Germans. Like people will do in World War IV.
Yeah.
But yeah, this sucks. We get to a Hermit. Hermit says that defeating Rygar will return peace to Argul.
In quote, just the use of quotes for emphasis in this is amazing.
Rygar.
Yeah. No more so than the next hermit that I made a note of. If you see Dorego, ask him to release my daughter.
Yeah, there's no. This is not a gender dimorphic land.
Nope.
There's just men of different sizes and eyeball counts in this. I don't know what a daughter is in this world.
No. And this isn't a pro tip. Like a daughter never appears. This is just a little story beat. There's a man whose little girl is missing.
And ask him, like, what game do you think I'm playing, Hermit? You think ask is one of my fucking verbs?
I have assault and a sail.
Yeah, assault, sail, recover. It's all basically there in the fucking manual in my pause screen. I don't ask anybody anything. I just listen to you guys. We get the boss of this palace, which is not a complicated maze. This is a less odious maze than the last side-scrolling one, I think.
Yeah.
Is Dorego. This guy is hard. This is where you have to, or at least for me, I'd leveled up quite a bit at this point. And then attack and assail was my friend during this. Just, not hammering that, but meting that out at a rhythm that took this guy out for the most part.
Yeah. The thing that got me through this, so the attacks, he shoots those eyeballs, they do 3 HP worth of damage, which is a lot.
Yes.
Basically, like,
your maximum is 12.
Yeah, so 1/4 of your potential health. Like the thing to know about this is you can just jump over them. That's the thing. Even then you think, okay, I need to jump, have the time to attack and get up. It fires very frequently. Also, you can attack while you're jumping.
Yes.
So
and if you're attacking and assailing, you can attack and jump and hit him from anywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
Once you take him out, you get kind of a neat item, the Endura armor. This has 2 effects, one of which I read about online. You can't see in game. One is it reduces your incoming damage, but the other thing it does is increase the amount of last points you get.
Oh,
they're trying to get you to have full health for the end.
Okay.
You get to this or not quite penultimate, but this later boss, and they want you're going to start leveling up faster.
Yeah, it is penultimate. Penultimate means next to last.
Yeah, well, we kind of have a boss rush after this, and they're not really new bosses, but yeah. No, I know penultimate means.
Okay.
I just mean we're not the next to last one yet.
Okay. Yeah, no. I guess I was thinking boss, like area boss. I was thinking
somebody thought about Death Pygor.
Yeah. I was thinking of Death Pygor, not Kuzilar.
I'm always thinking about Death Pygor. Men actually spend most of their time thinking about Death Pygor.
Yeah, the TikTok told me that.
Yeah. We go to this area now. We have our 2 optional bosses here with our 2 little bits here. We can go to the Tower of Garba.
Yes.
Here.
Could have come here, but you would probably be rebuffed.
Yep. And this we had to go way back to the Grand Mountains, that first side-scrolling hub area. And there was a tree there that we saw in the very beginning of the game, like doing that Metroidvania thing. Like, I can come back here. I just need to keep this in mind.
Yes.
This allows you to grapple up to the peaks multiple times, through multiple tree things in order to then take a crossbow up to get into the tower. And this is kind of a mini boss. Generally, they're reskins, but there are kind of new looking ones, which are weird.
Yeah.
These cool Zealers. These snails here, like they're most of like, you think of a snail and you think of like mostly shell and then a little bit sticking out. These are mostly body outside of the shell.
Yeah. And both are colored fleshily.
Yes. It looks like a skin shell. They're really fucking gross. There's a reskin of Aruga. A cool thing about this is that in this arena, you can use the grappling hook and give yourself an area in the middle.
Yes.
To fight him from, and he goes around the perimeter.
Or no,
thing, so he can't.
So the Kuzilar, that's the reskin of Aruga because they fire the spread shot. You're thinking of sorry,
Demora
Bruiser, the dinosaur tank.
Fuck, I'm always thinking about Demora Bruiser. Bruiser. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. You fight the dinosaur tank that kind of zooms around the perimeter of the room.
Yeah. One thing that you should note is that you grapple up. Climb the rope up to each arena, you can fall back down that hole. Yes. Yeah. Yep. Be careful there. Yeah.
So kind of a reskin of Sigila, but a little easier because of the arena. The fifth is this two-headed dragon named Death Pygor. He is kind of a reskin of Belzar, the plant flesh pillar thing.
Yes.
We fought. Little miniature boss rush. I like breaking it up. None of these boss fights are great.
Right.
Afterwards, the god gives us an ocarina and says, "Play this instrument at the top of the Tower of Lyle."
Tower of Lyle. Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
In the rich tradition of getting a video game flute that opens up the final level.
Yes. Yeah. So you've got to remember, okay, where is this? There was a hermit that told us about a flying tower back in the Valley of Rolsa, kind of at the top of these green towers there. And you ascend until you see a lion temple in the background. And you blow this flute. I think the manual says like this summons a Pegasus to take you to Rygar's house.
That's the world of imagination.
Yeah. Instead, a door appears in the sky with a rope hanging from it, which to me is actually way more evocative than a Pegasus.
Yeah, they didn't have a Pegasus sprite for this.
Yeah.
Something that is just unusual for 1987 and the NES that I want to draw attention to and some kudos to. When you get up here, you have to make your way into this castle or what have you, this big stone structure. You spend a long time circumnavigating without enemies.
Yeah.
You end up at the bottom of it and you have to walk around it, and it's just the music and it's like quiet time in a way that doesn't happen on the NES.
No, not at all.
You have to walk like 4 screens right and then like 3 screens up to get in. And it's just no monsters, just you're at the music, you're at the end. It gives it like a sense of, majesty.
Yeah.
For the end of this in just an unusual way.
Majesty is such a fun word for this.
I don't know what you would call it. You know what I mean? Though, like a ceremony. A sense of occasion.
A sense of quiet awe.
Yeah. For this silly little thing. But again, you got to use your imagination a whole lot.
I know. I just and again, I played this when I was younger, but not as young as you were when you got a hold of this. So
I also beat it like when I was young. You might have bounced off it because like I can imagine any kid being like, well, the thing to get on the rope doesn't work. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Or I can't find the place to use the crossbow. Like it has offboarding place. Who's Lyle? It has a lot of offboarding points for a kid as well. Like if you had this is one of the NES games I have for the summer, and this was your game, like you got to push through and see some of this, have some of these later innovation things be early exposures for you.
Also fun is that the enemies here are all shadows.
Yeah. Little gray outlines of things that kind of suggest a monster without actually being one. One looks like the skeleton knights from Dragon Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
Again. Generally, they move back and forth and shoot fireballs, and a lot of them are hard and not worth fighting.
Yeah.
One of them is the reskin of a boss. The overhead boss who shoots the fireballs that you jump over. You don't want to just refight that boss. You generally want to get here powerful enough.
Yeah.
Like you can grind here if you need to, but like it's not recommended. Even though if you do, there's a little side path where you can get a healing potion. There's a hermit who is posted up here. Yeah. So if you need to, you can go in and out of that door fighting a guy and make sure you have decent stats.
And you get to the final boss. You get to Rygar. This is a lion-headed man with 2 dragon heads for arms.
Sure.
Who stays stationary at the right side of the screen. The arms kind of flail around and then shoot out these spikes or fireball things that do a ton of damage, and they never stop firing.
Yep. So this is, I think this is a thing where the game gave you a spell to get around it.
Yeah.
Again, this is an attack and assail boss. You do not have the defensive vocabulary to fight this guy side scrolling properly. You just have to kind of tank stuff and use your resources. It's like a Resident Evil boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
In some ways, not great. Eventually you take him out, with your attack and your assail. And you get a little scene of a door opening into this green world with a rainbow, a big cartoon rainbow over it.
Yeah.
And in our ending text scroll, apparently that door was important. The door of peace was opened, and peace did again come to Argul. People regained their smiling faces. The warrior who finished his fight returned to Argus. The warrior of Argus, you really are a true hero. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay,
Peace
cool.
came back in.
The smiling faces regained. Peace again come.
Like I get a Dark Souls thing where you beat a boss and smiling faces regained.
Yeah. The last boss is my least favorite thing about this.
He sucks.
Yeah.
Like this sucks. It takes too long. I probably overgrinded to this because I was just, picking it's an hour and a half game from nuts to butts. But if I was picking up before bed for 20 minutes to just grind because I was like going to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I was probably overdoing it. But I remember this being a big wall as a kid without, just being at that checkpoint, fighting him over and over and not being able to power up or anything. You might go in here with a healing potion. Like you can make it work, but it's not a good design.
Yeah.
This thing. And the bosses are no great shakes in this anyway, other than visual design. Like I think they look cool other than the spider. Bosses are not a highlight of this.
Yep. And that's Rygar. Yeah. I like it just fine. It's more ahead of its time than you would expect it to be. Coming back to it, it does have, all of the things that come with being an early NES game, the poor communication, the really uneven difficulty, in my experience with it and, stuff. But I don't know, as far as NES games go, this is one of the better and more interesting ones that I've played.
It's neat that it's doing a version like an RPG Metroidvania before Metroid did.
Yes.
Like Metroid, you gain new power-ups and you get a greater variety of power-ups and they're more utilitarian through exploration. It didn't have what would come later with Symphony of the Night, with like literal stats that are coming together. And it was an early game for me in terms of, again, that mystery feeling. I think I played this before I played Phag-Xanadu, which I like Phag-Xanadu a lot. These games are kind of a piece to me. In a way of just kind of feeling off-putting in a way, like a alien and an interesting kind of thing. Comparing again to Metroid or like Kid Icarus, or other games of this type, even like Ninja Gaiden, like this not cleanly mapping onto a teenage boy archetype, fantasy archetype was really important to me as a kid.
Yeah.
It's vaguely a barbarian game, but it's a weird take on it.
Yeah. And I adore that. It's awesome that it was out doing its own kind of thing.
Yeah. Tecmo is an interesting developer in terms of like the second, third string Nintendo developers, like in the Sunsoft.
Yeah. And that kind of
pile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like below Konami and Capcom, but in that zone.
Yeah.
And they had some bangers, I recommend if you like retro gaming, like if you like retro platformers, give this a shot at the very least for the new things it does. It's on Switch Online. So you're ready to have it. You have it with tons of ease of use features.
Yes.
And it is like an hour and a half. It's all one sitting, but you don't have to worry about that now because of technology.
Yeah. You can do save spots. You can rewind. It's all good.
Yeah. What should people do if they like this show?
Well, if you like this show, and you have thoughts about Rygar, we're taking thoughts on Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. We had that rerun last week. Thank you for your understanding on that. Or The Suffering. If you have thoughts about any of those, go to Duckfeed.tv/contact by April the 15th. And write in. If you have thoughts about multiple games, please separate them into multiple responses and keep them the responses specific and concise.
Yeah, brief if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have thoughts about next month's games, you can also write in. That's going to be May 15th. And those games are Satisfactory, Resident Evil 6, and Ace Combat 4.
Shattered Skies.
Yeah, I remembered them.
Yeah. Satisfactory is going to be our first guest episode. I'm going to be talking about that very good game with Ben Merkel from The Level. He's a cool guy if you haven't met him.
Yeah, Ben's really nice. It's also a way for us to get games that, like, yeah, you maybe could beat this in 30 hours, but it's not the real experience. The real experience is 150 hours. We had to, find a way to feature games where one of us would do that anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
Looking forward to that. If you're listening to this and you are any kind of marginalized person and you have a project or product you'd like us to shout out, please send me an email at Gary@Duckfeed.tv. Include pronouns, relevant information, links, pronunciations, anything that I might need. We'd be happy to shout you out. Yeah. If you want to support us, go to Patreon. Patreon.com/DuckFeedTV. Resident Evil 6 and the Ace Combat.
Or the sponsors. The Suffering. Oh yeah, no, those are sponsored. Sorry. Yes, I thought you were I thought you were talking about premium. Sorry.
No, I was talking about sponsored episodes. If you want to sponsor an episode, you can. You do that through Patreon. And the Suffering and Ace Combat 4 are premium episodes. Everyone's going to get the generalities. Patrons at $5 a month get the whole thing. And that only gets more valuable. You can listen to the back episodes of that. We understand if you have to dip in and out. But we have some good episodes in that zone. We recommend it.
Yeah. I hate that the circumstances have conspired to make this worth clarifying. If you are going to become a patron, we welcome you to do it. Do it through the Patreon website, not the web app. Or not the Apple app. Apple's store adds 30% to the monthly fee, and also they hold the money for 75 days.
75 days.
Yeah, 75 days. Ridiculous. Not even like 30 or 60, 75.
Yeah, they're just picking a number out of a hat. Just do it through the website. We really appreciate it. We think it's a good deal.
Yes.
$5 a month. We're not here to tell you what that is worth to you, but we put out a lot of stuff.
We do.
You can also, if you can't do that, we understand. Or if you can do that and want to help us even more, you can rate and review us and subscribe on your podcast directory of choice and talk about us on message boards and shit. Tell people about the show. We don't advertise. The only way new people hear about us is through you.
Yes.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. And join us in thanking our producer, Gwen.
Yeah. Big thanks to Gwen. Oh, I haven't mentioned this on a show yet. I should do this. Days of Future Cast is back. X-Men 97.
Yeah.
My schedule has been tough and Jeremy's had health stuff this last year. So I really appreciate everyone's patience and us basically taking 6 months off. Of that show. We didn't start releasing the X-Men 97 episodes until we had them all recorded because we wanted to make sure we didn't have any breaks. So that is on autopilot. Those episodes are all recorded. They're good. We're not sure what we're going to do next. We're still planning to podcast. All of that is obviously dependent on health stuff, but the plan is to continue.
Yes.
So thanks for keeping that RSS alive. Yeah. And what should they watch out for until next time?
Watch out for my daughter. Ask for my daughter.
Yeah. If you're ever talking to Lyle, ask for my daughter from Death Pygore.
Sorry, ask for my daughter.
Yeah. Your daughter, quote unquote. It's drugs.